All right, guys. So the last video I did about Flippa triggered a lot of people on Reddit, which was pretty funny. But at the same time, I do understand that a lot of people have invested in various different projects that they didn't necessarily know what type of diligence they needed to do. And that's part of the reason that I wanted to do this series about buying and selling websites, because it's something that I have experience in. I've had success in. I know a lot of people that have had success in it, and I also have failed at it multiple times. I've bought businesses on here that did not work out. And I should, I guess, have done a disclaimer on the previous video, but I will do one on this, is that not all results are going to be the same. I think that that's something that's unfortunate that you have to say that now, but I do think that these websites are being sold by people, and usually there is a reason they are being sold. So when you are acquiring these websites, often you're going to have to implement some tactics and some different procedures. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that in this episode as well. But first and foremost, if you guys are not subscribed here, don't forget to subscribe. I'm doing a lot more about investing because I've found it very, very interesting that a lot of these things aren't taught in school. They are taught in untraditional courses and on YouTube and things like that. And everything that I have learned has been from mentors and advisors, people in real life, virtually everything. So this is just my experience, and not all experiences are going to be the same. So just do your own diligence, but I'm going to be doing my best to show you what I do as an investor on these sites. So this is Flippa.com, and this was actually what got me banned from our investing, the subreddit, which I find pretty hilarious, but it's not the first subreddit I've been banned from just for literally posting like questions and comments and things like that. There's a lot of really interesting moderators going on there, but a subject for another day. On this episode, I wanted to walk through what it looks like to look at a good website to purchase, and what a website that isn't necessarily a bad purchase, but one that's going to take more work. So one that you could acquire that would not take that much work to get up and running for passive income, and then one that would take a few man hours to get up and running, and potentially you'd have to spend more money on paid advertising to get it off the ground and train your pixel and whatnot. So the first websites that I always like to go through on Flippa are the editor's choice. So right off the bat, Dynamic Wife I've looked at. As you can see, there's a watch option so you can watch it. And I just chose 2 of the 4 editor choice to watch for this video. And we're going to compare a couple of these sites. So we have a Shopify store here, bootcutsocks.com, and then Dynamic Wife, which is a content site. So let's go to Dynamic White. It's going for $19.5. Once you're on here, you can see it's got the stamp that's editor's choice, minimum offer $19.5, and some of the data here. Let me move over here. So as you can see, the site is doing a net profit of $1,183 per month. The site's 2 years old, which is healthy. It's on WordPress, which is good, very easy to use, simple interface, so that'll take you a low amount of time. The page views seem to be decreasing, but there was an uptick here. And this probably was because it changed hands, I'm gonna guess. And that's just how I look at traffic. Whenever there's a sharp decrease, it changed hands, and a traffic source was left untouched when it changed hands. That's pretty common in this space when you're changing hands with websites. Sometimes websites that are relying heavily on one source, and the owner was really knowingly emphasizing a lot of their focus on that source. Once they transfer it over, the new owner isn't fully up to date on that source and how and what to be doing to drive as much traffic as that previous owner. That's a problem, and that's just something that you kind of pick up on over time. But I would guess that this probably original sale to Michael here was between either, let's see, April to August of 2018. I'm going to guess on that one. And you can see here, low time commitment, 1 to 3 hours per week, and passive income, 78% organic traffic. So that's the pretty biggest, that's a big component to this, is a lot of this is going to be organic traffic for the good websites, at least. So, you're getting your income from media buying and also Amazon affiliate. Amazon is a beast when it comes to these websites, and they are very powerful. But a very key component is to look to make sure that they are selling their Amazon account. Many people will say that they aren't selling their Amazon account with the website, and that kind of is a whole ton of work that you have to front load and go through all the different posts and add it in there. So we're going to scroll down here. You can see that the page views as before. Organic to social is a little bit tight there. So that means that they're really active on their social page, and 11,000 organic every month. And then socials 9,100. So that's going to require a little bit more effort on the social side of things. And as I said before, my estimate was that something happened, like a purchase or it changed hands somewhere along the lines here during this bump. Because usually sellers will really emphasize traffic and shoot it up and prop it up sometimes. And when they change hands, the traffic's going to correct like this. Like this is where it would have corrected to. And then the emphasis or the non-emphasis on a certain source of traffic could lead to that decline there. So we have our revenue and our costs, as you can see here, a sharp decline. And this is usually because of an ad ban here. That is my experience. This means that something happened with their ads, and I have not looked at this, but let's just go through here and see if they have been banned. Most of our visitors are readers through organic traffic sources. Sometimes we get inquiries for guest posts, sponsored posts. So that's a good revenue stream. Let's see if it includes, so Pinterest, Facebook, YouTube, and Mediavine account. It's really hard to get into with Mediavine. That's a clever note there. And they use all of their different images with their screenshots. No questions or comments have been left here, which is strange. And if you scroll through here, you can see that I'm selling multiple websites that require more time, especially one that I acquired from Flippa just recently. This niche is at least knowledge out of my portfolio. Okay, and the site earns passive income. All right, the earnings basically doubled from last year, but as you can see here, it absolutely got crushed in November, December, and then January of 2019. So this hasn't been updated recently. So this to me is a something that you would take the average of the last 6 months and offer a multiple at that monthly income. So for example, with this one, the last 6, 2, 4, 6, I would say that you could do anywhere between 500 or 600 and then multiply that by, let's say, a year, 12 months, and then round. So I would say the initial offer would come out at something along the lines of 10 and work in between in the middle there, because this minimum offer that they're asking for is something that is definitely over what I was expecting. 19.5 for a business that is nosediving and making, it looks like 3, 4, and 2 the last few months here. And it was very successful during these months, but you can tell that this person is a buyer and a seller on Flippa. So they are buying and selling regularly, and something clearly happened. So you would have to obtain that liability or that change that happened there. So this is something that I would put an offer out onto, but I would definitely negotiate down as far as I could towards this average. So around the $400 to $500 average, because it's clearly something happened, and you'd want to make sure that you can recoup within a year or 2 years in that range. So let's go back. So the last little bit of this video is I wanted to show you guys what a site that you could definitely put your foot into a big hole if you purchased it. And there are a lot of resellers that come onto Flippa that build sites, ramp them up, and then sell them, as I mentioned earlier, but on the newer side. So for example, if I'm one of these developers of these reseller sites, I build a site out, use a fancy template, and then either do paid ads or some way to drive traffic or revenue of some kind, even use your own funding to get it going in front of an audience, and then put it on here. So there is some sketchy business going on every now and then, and Flippa does a good job of vetting these people, but regardless, there's a lot of them, so you really have to do your own diligence. So this one, Crypto Contagious. So when you click on it, you can see that this is a starter site, which I do not approach. I do not deal with starter sites like this because I've done it in the past and failed. I've acquired starter sites and they require way too much work, and this is a big no-no for me. But I have known people that have purchased these and been successful. So you can tell here that there's like big numbers. You can make $2,800 per month. There's all these FB ad documentation, so you would need to have money to put in. All you have to do is plug and play. There's a lot of these, like, you can talk to them via Skype 24/7. Who's this for? It's perfect for someone new to the paid advertising e-commerce space. Cryptocurrency space is very popular on FB right now, which is pretty much false because Facebook is very much monitoring and blocking and banning sites that are on Facebook right now having to do with crypto. And it looks like it's just these are the ones where they do these long written out explanations of what's going on, and it's not, in my experience, these do not yield anywhere near what the previous one would yield, because that actually has proven traction. You can see that there is an issue, but it's something that can be fixed if you have the right expertise. And this is, talking about how much the domain is worth, the revenue proof video. Usually I ask people for that later, and the really good sellers will often hold that back. But yeah, brand new website, 4 months old. It's labeled as a starter website, which I stay away from. So this is just an example of one that you guys should be weary of when they're using very intense words, like incredibly lucrative, and they highlight and make things bold, and they're just selling, and they're very much trying to get this very low ticket item. A business that's making $2,900 per month and it's selling for $2,900 is not a business you should be putting your money anywhere near, because that is not an actual business. They're making these businesses and they're building them up very slightly, enough to pass the threshold of being approved, and then they go up in front of the audience. Here on Flippa, usually they get called out by the community pretty quickly in the comment section, but this one seems to be pretty new, and it's definitely no one has touched it. The Flippa community is very, very active in knowing what is real and what is not, and having one bid for $1 is just the owner basically bidding with a different account. So just be wary of sites like this that are either resellers, and they do very well. Like the people selling these sites, like I'm sure this guy is, he's done all these transactions. He is good at making websites and selling them. But if you're looking for something passive with not that much effort being put into it every week, the starter sites are not ones that you want to approach. You want to approach ones that you can hire a VA to do content for, and you can do your implementation of different processes. So people, process, and product, the 3 Ps. Don't stray away from those 3 Ps. Those will always treat you well on Flippa. And I don't want to go for too long on this video because you guys are definitely taking in a lot of information right now, but that's an example of 2 different types of websites. One was, a content-based site where you can hire someone to write content and you can change that traffic just by applying someone to write to it. And then this second one here, and that first one I would put a bid on at about half what they were asking and meet somewhere in the middle there at about 10x or 12x the monthly revenue, monthly profit, sorry. And then the second one here, I wouldn't touch because it's a starter website and it's only been up for 4 months. There's a buy it now or bin number, and that is the exact amount almost of their net profit each month. And they built a site to be purchased outright, and there's not really much going on there. So that's it for this video, and I hope you guys like it. If it was valuable, slap a like. And if you guys learned something, subscribe for more of these investing videos. I'm excited to keep making them because I love this space and it's a new alternative space. So that is it for this one, and I will see you on